Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our capital budget council meeting this afternoon. Thanks again for all the hard work that's been done in this building to get our capital budget where we think we need it. I'm sure there's more questions, but I'm going to ask a disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Seeing none, we've got a resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the Town of Minto Council convene into committee of the whole to receive the Mayor's 2026 draft capital budget as information. All in favor of the motion? So we're here this afternoon to hear a presentation on the draft 2026 capital budget. On May 1st, 2025, the Town of Minto was awarded strong mayor powers. On May 2nd, 2025, I wrote and signed a mayoral direction regarding the 2026 Town of Minto budget. Under section 284.1.3 and 284.16 of part 5.1 of the Municipal Act 2001, I've given direction to our CAO and treasurer to prepare a proposed 2026 operating and capital budget. Number 2, provide the proposed budgets to each member of council and the clerk, and as per the existing 2025 meeting schedule, and make the proposed budget available to the public as set out in the town's procedural bylaws. So I ask our CAO, Mr. Fertney, to present the draft capital budget to council and the town ratepayers. And most of us are ratepayers in the Town of Minto. So, welcome, Mr. Fertney.
Thank you, Mayor Turton.
The floor is yours.
To you, through you, Mayor Turton and Deputy Mayor Anderson and members of council, thank you for this opportunity. I will be your host and mediator today, and we're going to go through the capital budget. Again, the Town of Minto budget for 2026, the theme is vision to reality. And today is the second date, the second draft capital budget for the town. Today's Tuesday, November the 25th. And this presentation will be received for information only. Day 3, which is going to be Tuesday, December the 2nd. At 5 p.m. we'll have a budget open house for the public. So that'll be after our council meeting on December the 2nd. Again, like the previous presentation on the operating budget, this will only be draft and for information. So no decisions will be made today. The final budget presentation for operating and capital will be on December the 16th. And that's when the strong mayor power process clock starts. If timelines are exhausted without any amendments, the budget is deemed to be approved with no budget bylaw on December the 31st. If amendments are suggested on or after December the 16th, budget process will naturally extend into 2026 in order to fulfill the strong mayor power legislation. The draft capital budget is broken into priority 1 projects, 2026, priority 2 projects in 2027, and priority 3 projects, which is in 2028 and beyond. Priority 2 and priority 3 will give you a glance of what the future holds, but our real focus is on the priority 1 capital projects as of now. This is a general overview of where our capital project list looks like by department. You'll see that the budget is around almost $17 million, which seems rather hefty, but I'd like to remind council that there are projects, and I'll go through them, that are already funded through grant funding from the province and other places. And then there's other funding or other projects that are conditional based on funding that's yet to come still. So we're actually going to be looking, so that equals about $11,425,000. So our actual net coming from either reserves or borrowing will be approximately $5.5 million. You'll also notice that the capital funding is for priority one projects are not from taxation. And there are no heavy vehicles or heavy equipment in the priority one projects. For priority two projects, so we're looking at $5.5 million. And priority three projects, we're looking again at around $16 million. But again, priority three projects are 2028 and future projects, so they'll be able to be spread out a lot differently. We're just trying to give council an idea of what's coming. Under the administrative priority number one projects, we have a handful here. Computers and software replacements. Consulting, we're still working on our DC bylaw in particular. It's been custom to put some money aside for this current municipal building in area for around $10,000. The asset management and records, we're looking at some new software. And for AI automation, we're looking at an accounts payable software that uses optical character recognition to read invoices. So we're moving towards more of an electronic approvals process. And this software will integrate to some extent with Keystone and Citywide, which are existing programs that we have. People and property, as has been the case for a number of years, we're setting aside $80,000 from the budget to go towards our flood mitigation process or project, and this has already been previously approved through resolution. Community service priority number one projects. If you look at the total, we're looking at about $455,000. There's some heavy hitting projects on here, and I won't list them all, but we do have a number of arena and pool related projects. A lot of them will fall underneath the procurement policy for sole sourcing or getting 3 quotes. So there's not a lot of additional RFP work. I'll draw your attention though halfway down the page to the Harrison Pool Tiger Shark. That was something that I myself had to look up to see what that was. And basically it's an auto vacuum system for the pool. Obviously I've never owned a pool or maintained a pool. So, and then also in the Palmerston Lions Park, there's the playground. There are some replacement items we'd like to take care of. And the trailer axle at the very bottom of it is an interesting one. So we can actually add an additional trailer axle to the reefer trailer, so it would actually hold more material when it's full and go down the road a little bit easier. So, and then recreation facilities R&R. Basically, we've had a lot of small projects at all our satellite facilities. So those have been those need updates from time to time. So we put some money aside for those ongoing fixes. Economic community development priority projects. We're looking at doing the Harrison Industrial Park servicing in 2026. There's a number of streetscape items there, but then the final item is the Palmerston Main Street. And that looks like a large number of $400,000, but it has to do with the Palmerston Main Street project, streetscapes, and some of the extra items that go along with the normal sidewalks and benches and planters and all that good stuff. Fire and emergency services projects, fairly tame this year. Some additional tablets, a hydraulic ram, some bunker gear, radio pagers, and some new nozzles for the various trucks and for the various departments. These items are specific to the town of Minto. They wouldn't be moved over or shared with any of the other municipalities. Public Works. Well, you look at that number and you kind of get a little bit nervous, but a lot of it is based on future funding that we've anticipated because we've already put applications out, or the Main Street project where we're going to have to do some, where we've got a significant amount of money from the province. And in other cases, we'll have to do a little bit of borrowing. So for instance, the Arthur Street West project is a connecting link project. So it hasn't been funded yet. So that may be a project that we don't do if we're not funded. So we'll have to make that decision as we go through 2026. Again, Main Street Palmerston is going to be a big deal for us going forward. The Main Street Palmerston detour, we want that as part of the project on third line between Whites Road and Highway 23, because we figure that's going to be one of the largest detours that we're going to have to manage and maintain through this project. Paving of School Road 7, part of third line and fifth line. Another large number, $980,000, but that'll be funded through OSIF funding. The Webb and Raglan project, again, is one of those projects with a large dollar figure, but it's conditional on funding. So we put it in there so we're aware of it and what's coming. We do need to do that project, but it's conditional on funding coming forward. The Yonge Street Bridge here in Harrison is a project that is a rehab project that we feel we need to get done sooner than later. The rehab will likely extend the life of that bridge for another up to 25 years. And there's some waterproofing to the bridge deck that needs to be done. And there are some accessibility concerns that have been shared with us over the last few years that we need to address. The superstructure, just to put people's minds at ease, is okay. We're working with that. It's not a problem. But there are some other things we definitely need to look at. So the team was able to put together some pictures for folks who are more visual. Third line, this is where the detour route will be between Whites Road and Highway 23. And there's be some asphalt pulverization and resurfacing. And that's part of the HECS funding for that detour. So that's the Housing Enabling Core Servicing Fund. 15th line, we're looking at some additional asphalt resurfacing. Arthur Street West in Harrison, we've applied for the connecting link funding. We haven't heard back, but this project is conditional on funding. Paving, the folks in Palmerston in this area will be very pleased to see that School Road 7 in particular will be tackled this year or coming year, if approved by council. So third line, part of third line, School Road 7 and fifth line are on the docket for this year. And then again, Webb and Raglan, its project is conditional on funding. So we've applied for the health and safety water stream funding, but we haven't received notice either way on that yet. And that'll be a full reconstruction project with water, wastewater, and storm sewers. And then finally was just a picture of the Yonge Street Bridge for those who are questioning where it might be. It's over by the Harrison Arena. Priority 1 project for wastewater. Again, this is going to be non-taxable. Large dollar figure, $900,000 tied to the Palmerston Main Street project. Jane and Norman, there's an easement there, and there's some shared work between the town and the developer that needs to be done. Again, Raglan Street for Webb and Webb Street for the conditional on funding. But a lot of smaller things, SCADA systems, pumps, chemical pumps, some more computer hardware and software, an inflow and infiltration study, which is really important for us to figure out where we stand. If we can reduce the amount of infiltration, we can hopefully lessen the amount of work and money it takes to treat that additional water. Again, non-taxable is the water priority projects. Tower inspection for Clifford. You folks did approve, pre-approve the repairs to the interior for $275,000. And I believe a report's coming to council, is it next week? Next week about that. And then again, the Palmerston Main Street project. Additional water meters, pumps, data loggers, the typical stuff that needs to be replaced on a regular basis. So I just want to mention here that the priority one projects are funded by way of the government grant funding, long-term borrowing, transfers from reserves and donations, etc. There are no priority one projects that are being funded by taxation. So I just want to make that abundantly clear. The process for priority one and priority two and priority three projects is that council has an idea of what's coming in the future. So this is an opportunity for council to either move priority one projects back in the list or bring priority two and or three projects forward in the list. The issue we'll have between now and December 20 or 16th is if you do move a priority three or a priority two project forward, we'll have to figure out how to fund that project because that hasn't been fully established at this point. The Palmerston Big Dig, we are fully funding that in 2026. We only want to take money out once. And so this project's phased into two sections, as you're aware. Phase one is going to be the two roundabouts on Main Street, as well as the design and layout of the future work that needs to happen. And then in phase two will be the works, the reconstruction, all the fun stuff in between in 2027. So again, I'm going to just touch on some of the priority two projects and priority three eventually. So we're looking at 2027. We're not looking at 2026 unless you strongly feel that you would like to see something moved ahead. Again, there's some big projects, a couple big projects anyway, in community services, Palmerston Arena, the condenser, and the Palmerston Arena, the curling chiller. The other item, the Harrison Arena condenser. So unfortunately, we're finding that, especially after our building condition assessment work that we've done, there's a lot of recreation facility updates that we need to do. And we've also been looking at our citywide and our capital plans. So those things have been identified as coming up. So we want to not have what happened to us with the chiller in Harrison happen to us in the future. So we're going to be even more proactive and making sure that we have all the right information and data to bring these projects forward. For fire and emergency services, two of the big items here is UTV. I guess, as I understand it, and maybe the chief can speak to it if he feels necessary. There's been at least two trail fires already this year that a UTV would have been helpful to get down the trails. And then the big one would be a 5-person tanker. So there's $1 million in itself, 1.1 million in itself. Public Works, still lots of stuff on the go here. There's some bridge work on the 5th line, 7th line, School Road 7 that needs to be done. Some sidewalk work, paving on the 7th line. And then there's a large grouping of equipment and trucks, grader, sidewalk unit, plow truck, and some pickup trucks. I just want to interject here that our capital asset plan identifies pickup trucks. The life cycle is 7 years, although many of our trucks are already way past that. Plow truck, 12 years, a tanker fire truck, 10 years, and a pumper fire truck, 15 years. So we keep all of those things on a spreadsheet and we're tracking that as we go through each year. Non-taxable items for priority 2 for 2027 for wastewater, further inflow and infiltration studies, some additional pumps and valves, some additional software, and then Norman Street. And for water, again, a couple pickup trucks and some SCADA system and some work on King Street. Looking ahead for 2028 and beyond for priority 3 projects. Again, some heavy hitters for community service related to the arenas. an arena floor for both Palmerston and Harrison. Again, these projects will likely be split up over a number of years. It won't be all in one time, but we'll just have to do some additional assessments as we get closer to that time period. Fire and emergency services, the big heavy hitter is that they'll be looking for an additional aerial truck, and it's estimated to be approximately $3 million. Public Works, again, large projects of paving a 5th line, Bolton Street, and then backhoe and tandem plow truck, and a couple other smaller fleet vehicles as well. Non-taxable, one of the big items that's going to be split between water and wastewater would be the potential of the purchase of a vacuum truck. We have currently a vacuum trailer. It just doesn't have the capacity that we need when it comes time to especially do the water main break stuff. Additional items, well inspections and the Palmerston well construction would be another big project, as well as the Harrison King Street construction. So the amendments to the draft capital and operating budget are welcome prior to December the 16th, 2025. You can speak to Mayor Turton or Mr. Duff or myself, and we can certainly look at the requests up to that point. If you decide that you need to talk about the budget process after the 16th, then that puts us into the kind of complicated process of the strong mayor powers legislation. It just means that we'll be working on this into the new year. It may also mean that we have to call a special meeting between now and Christmas or after Christmas if necessary. We're more than welcome or able to do so, but just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that. We're hoping to provide through Mayor Turton the final budget on December the 16th. Instead of a presentation and me talking to you on this process, we're looking at doing a formal report to council with a summary of items that we have talked about to date. And any amendments we'll identify in that report. And then that report will be a report for decision. And now I can stop talking, but I do have my very valuable staff, our very valuable staff around the table here, in case you have any questions about any of the items that we've talked about today. Back to you, Mayor Turton.
Thank you very much. GAO Burtney. Questions? Do we have questions? Go ahead, Councillor Dirksen.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. I have a few questions, and some of them you did answer, so that's great. I was trying to get my head around, so 2026 in Palmerston, we are doing roundabouts, but then we have all these other things like water and wastewater, big bucks, but we're not actually doing the dig until 27, is that right? And like the streetscape, for instance, we have 400,000 for that in 2026, but we won't be ready to put anything down until we have payment back down, which is, I think, 27, if I'm understanding it right. And Treasurer wants to answer this question.
Thanks, Chair Dirks. In fact, I was going to mention this. You'll be going, why are you doing all this in 2026? So for those of you that have been around before 2021, and I know you're one of them, we haven't borrowed in 5 years. So if you recall, part of the process, it's not like you walk down the bank, I'd like 7 million. There's a lot of procedures and there's a lot of interaction with the county anyway. And this is actually a county Minto project, so we'll have even more. And it costs money to go through the process, basically legal fees and financial agent. I know one time Minto had to borrow and nobody else in the county did. And I think it was like, 25, 30,000. That was all our share. So there's several reasons. One, the council, being you, has to approve the capital works. So you're right. I think we'll likely only spend only a few $100,000 in 2026. However, then if I want to borrow 3 million, the lawyers will say, well, council only approved 300,000. We can't do that. So that's why I'm front loading everything here. That's one of the reasons, but I think that's an important one. It lays it out, the whole thing, because thankfully, both of these grant programs, they're not like ICIP, so we don't have to put out 100% of the money and wait a year to collect it. It's based on the milestone where you get council approval, you let a tender, so it will flow a little better through the project. So that's good too. Also, and here's where we're crystal balling it. It looked, if we go back a year and a half, like right around now would have been the low point in the interest rate cycle. So now with all the uncertainty, it's looking, and subject to change, that early to mid 2026 will be the lower point. Unfortunately, the lower point is about 1% higher than it was looking before. So that's the thing. You're still trying to time it best you can. The last time we borrowed was towards the fall of 2021, and that was for 22 projects. So we're kind of in a similar situation. The other factor is at our treasurers meeting that we hosted in Minto in September, it sounded like perhaps the county and up to 5 other lower tiers were going to borrow in early to mid 2026. So again, our costs don't go up dramatically when you have more. They'll go up a little bit because there's a bit more work in that, but that's more people to share these legal and the financing costs. So in summary, there's about half a dozen reasons why I think it's good to do it this way. But of course, we're open to suggestions.
Well, no, that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. I was having trouble getting my head wrapped around that, but obviously you can't have the street dug up and then you can't have the money to put the pavement back and put the streetscape back. So that makes perfect
right.
sense. I had another question if I could.
Can I just add
Sure.
on to that question?
Yep.
So the county does have a AAA rating. So Gordon, if I understand, just to add to your question, Councillor Dirksen, we get the approval we go with the other 5 lower tier municipalities. We all get the approval, and we can exercise the amount of money that we want to take, not all at once, as we go along. Nope.
Unfortunately not. It's not the most flexible procedure.
Okay.
It's not like you have, well, a good example was our addition to the medical center where we had bridge financing, and no, you have to take the whole thing. So we'll put it in investments or whatever. Also, you cannot prepay. You can't say, oh, it's not like my mortgage, I'll double the payments this month. No, you're fixed. If it's a 10-year term, 20-year term, you can't pay off early. It's in there.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Dirksen.
Yes, so my public works question was, so 15th line, no, sorry, third line, where the detour is, we were gonna rip that up, pulverize it and put it back down and then put pavement on top, I think, right? So I'm wondering, so some of the other ones though, they just say pavements resurfacing. So we're just putting it over top of the bumpy road that's there then? Is there a big difference? I know there's a big difference in cost. Is there a big difference in how long the non-pulverized roads will last as opposed to just simple surfacing?
So yeah, like the roads that we go over is like a Band-Aid fix right now. It's a sand pad that we use. Ideally, we would do the sand pad and then a surface on top of the sand pad. But unfortunately, with the money situation and how bad some of our roads are, ideally we do the sand pad, and before it deteriorates too far, we can actually put another surface on that, or else we may have to go to pulverizing and resurfacing at some point. But we'd like to be able to get caught up to a point where it's more feasible and economical going forward.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed the P3 there for the 5th line. That would actually be from White's Road around to 109. a lot of heavy traffic, that
Mhm.
section would be pulverized and then resurfaced.
Okay,
We can't do a Band-Aid fix on that one, unfortunately.
okay,
So,
good, thanks.
Other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Elliott.
Just a couple of questions. And I noticed that in two, we've got a couple of chillers and condenser. Are we expecting them to fail or should they be, if they're bad enough that we gotta replace them, should we be moving to one? Maybe Matt, you can help with that.
Yeah, thanks, Council Elliott. So basically with a lot of the arena refrigeration items that we put on there, um, most of our assets were replaced or updated between 2005 and 2010. There were some grants that came out around that time. The big one was the ISF, the Infrastructure Stimulus Fund. So essentially, we have a lot of equipment that's coming to its useful life cycle end. 20 to 25 years is what you typically get out of a lot of this equipment. That would have put us about closer to 2030 than 2025, but just with some of the things that we've gone through, just wanted to get them on paper and just make sure that we're aware that they are coming and we should look at them sooner than later.
Are we gonna wait till they fail or are we going to put money away in that? Is that what the idea is or how's that work, Matt?
No, we don't want to wait till they fail.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that we've got them on the radar. Like I said, with a lot of our, like with Citywide, a lot of them were 2030 and beyond, but I'd like to kind of pull them up a bit sooner than later.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Elliott.
I noticed on priority, we have priority twos and priority threes, and you're saying we could move them around if that's what we request to do. We could try to or not. Are we, even if we leave everything the same, are all our priority twos are gonna become priority ones next year? Or is that gonna be a decision we're gonna make at that time?
Through your Mayor Turton,
Go ahead.
yes, that is the idea. Priority two projects this year will become priority ones next year in the budget process.
All right, thanks.
And at that time, we'll have the same option to move around priority threes this year, which next year will be priority two, moving them down to priority one, if we
Yeah.
see fit.
That's when we find out whether something's broke down or whatever we need. We may have to change priority twos or something. That'll happen next year.
Go ahead, sir.
Through your Mayor Turton to Councillor Elliott. We're very confident in where we sit currently, but if we need to come back to you folks, we will throughout the year to make changes as we need to.
All right, thanks very much.
Councillor Potnovitz.
Yes, through you, Mayor. On priority two under the fire and emergency services, I see the fire hall renovations there. Which fire hall and what are the renovations for?
That's the carryover from this year's renovation. That when we talk about priorities and that one might be able to be taken off the list for next year, depending. We've been able to finish the renovations at a very significant cheaper way this year, so that one might be able to come off the list for next year. So it was to complete the bunker gear room and the classroom change, and that in Palmerston is what it was earmarked for.
Other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Zimmerman.
Thank you. I'll direct this to Chief Harrow as well. So I see under number two projects, a UTV for 100,000 and a 5-person tanker. Just what's that entailing?
Through you, Mayor Turton, yeah, that's a great question. So the UTV right now, we have a Gator that was a John Deere Gator that was donated to us. We're looking to upgrade that to a UTV that actually has a hose reel, and it's called a skid that goes in the back. So it would be a pump and a hose reel in that. To what CAO Fertney said, we're up to about 6 fires on the trail this year. So right now we have to attempt to back a truck down the trail to be able to put it out, or try and get water back there, and it's not working really well. So just using our data, we're seeing more and more off-road fires. And I think it's going to continue that way. So we'd like to have a way to be able to combat them. And also with the risk, it's not a very big risk in our community right now, but we're definitely keeping an eye on it for our risk assessment is the wildland fires and different things. A unit like that that can go across fields and like that, I think would be extremely valuable to our department. The tanker is, we have a truck plan that we're looking at. We revamped it through across the departments. And I say that all three departments, but specifically Minto, we're looking at the ways that we can afford to buy trucks that is within our means, but yet still provide emergency services. So truck costs have gone up exponentially, as you can see in the prices there. It's very sad to see what cost of trucks are right now. So that truck would be to replace Pumper 110 in Hairston. That would be a 5-person pumper tanker, which is cheaper than buying a full-fledged custom pumper, which then would save us some money that we could put towards buying the new aerial truck, which we know is in priority 3 and is a significant item coming down the road. So it's all part and parcel to be able to buy trucks that'll do the same job, but at a lesser price tag so that we can afford other things. So
I thought that's what you were gonna say, but I was just finding out. Just if I may, go ahead, sir, through you, Mayor Turton, the UTV, will that have tracks on it for wintertime use as well? For snowmobile trails?
correct. That's the goal. It would have tracks that would be a all year round vehicle because as the skid, as I said, that slides in the back, it also has a side for a backboard. So you have the pump and the hose on there. And then the other side is like a backboard stretcher type thing that you could slide a patient on there and get them out of snowmobile trails too.
Seeing all the children there. Very sweet.
Yes, they are.
And then further to the aerial truck is, are we able to start laying money away for that? Because we know it's coming. It has to be replaced. It's lived its life.
Through your, Mayor Turton, yeah, we're trying. We're trying really hard to lay money away, but the treasurer this time of year is kind of like Scrooge and keeps not letting me put as much money as I can away. But we're trying. We're trying through different mechanisms, whether it's DCs or whatever, to try and get that. We're talking within our partnership of how that's going to look and how that's going to work as well. So we're looking at every single revenue source we possibly can because we know it's a huge ticket item. And just to expand on that, we have been asked before about used because the past 2 aerial trucks that we've bought have been used. Unfortunately, the used market has gone really bad because trucks have increased substantially. So everybody's going after the used market. So anything that's decent is going at really, really high prices. Or even worse is most people are just holding on to their trucks a lot longer because they can't afford new ones. So the quality of used trucks out there is not very good anymore. So that's why we budgeted for a new one in the future, because we know that that option's probably not going to be there.
That aerial truck, is that for all 3 municipalities or does North and Mapleton and Minto all have 1 each?
No, that's a great question, Mayor Turton. No, with the plan now with the partnership is that we have 1 aerial truck for the 3. So that's why we're looking at going into next year to look at various revenue sources and agreements and that kind of thing, because that truck will service all 3 municipalities. So we're working on that, more to come.
Councillor Johnson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. Just another question about the chiller. So I see we have the arena chiller in priority 3. We're confident that the one we installed from Clifford is going to last that long?
That's a great question. Kind of taking it day by day and week by week at this point. And again, if we feel like we need to move it up, we'll move it up. But yeah, just like I say, we're just keeping a close watch on it as we navigate this season. Yeah.
Just one other thing. The sharks, is that new to us, or we have them and replace them, or it's going to be new to the pools?
We used to have tiger sharks that, like I say, they just kind of crawl around the water at night and just helps keep the Because especially at Harrison, the proximity to the road, a lot of debris and dust and dirt gets in there. So it's just, it helps keep the floor a lot cleaner. It's a bit of a process to manually vacuum the pool. So we used to have them, and I'm not. They kind of, they were end of their useful life, and for I'm not sure why we just didn't replace them right away. But it's something that the staff have been asking for a bit, so I had to put it in there.
I have one at home. It's like having a night crew. Works overnight, cleans my pool. Thank you.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Anderson.
I have a few questions, and many of them have been answered previously as I sent out emails as I came up with them. So when we look at our priority one projects are funded by the way of government grant funding. How sure are we of that government grant fund? Is it stuff that we have already been allocated, or it's stuff that we're just really hoping we're going to get? And again, back to my question again with reserve, you transfer from reserves, that's great. You've got money saved, you're spending it to move forward with projects we need to move forward. But what are our chances looking like in the future? I want your crystal ball out now. And in light of Mr. Ford's sweeping changes to potential revenue to municipalities that are potentially coming or have already been put in place, what are we thinking we're going to be looking at down? Just easy question.
I'll start with the first ones because it's a little easier. So the Palmerston one, yeah, we have that. The county was the lead on the HCCS, which is basically the road one. So they heard about that quite a few months ago. So that's looking good. The Husef one, we were turned down in the first round, but then projects automatically went through to the second round and we were approved for that. So Palmerston Main Street, those grants, yeah, that's pretty sure. The connecting link, and we've done many connecting links. I think this is our last one. So what we were going to put in for, what we intended to last time, was design and construction. We heard from our MTO analysts and they said, well, we don't think you're quite ready for the work. We'll approve the design, which has taken place in 25. And they strongly encouraged us to put in for the actual work, which is the 3,050,000. So by no means a sure thing, but I'm reasonably confident we're going to get that one. The other, we kind of call it the Webb and Raglan. Don't know. I don't have a feeling one way or the other on that. Definitely something that's in there, contingent on funding. We're always hopeful. It's been a while though. But I think we're always surprised by when we hear. Sometimes, oh, we heard about that. Now there's we got another one that's out there. I'm thinking 14 months or so. Not hearing a word about it. So I'm not very confident in that one. Yeah, so
when we look at those projects that are contingent on grant funding, then they get added to the priority one next year, or they're maybe on the priority two, or we just hope there's another round of grant funding available.
So if they're not urgent, and that's more of a determinant for Mike and Todd and Mark, we put them aside. We'll try again another time. If they are urgent, well, and we don't have the money in reserves, I'd have to borrow for that. Very reluctantly, but I would only do that if they were more of a health and safety or that kind of thing. And there perhaps is a cheaper repair and, kind of like as Matt's doing, limp along till the next round of funding. Regarding your other, I think AMO, all the municipal lobby groups, we know as Chief Harrow has said, the rate of inflation that municipalities have, it's way above CPI, and we can't do it alone. But we need some help here, and there are fairly frequently roads and now water and wastewater grants, because the government's priority, stated many times, is building housing. So fire and recreation are a bit more peripheral. They're still necessary to have the levels of service that we want, but that's not where we're seeing the funding and the grants in it. And like for fire, we did get 2 grants recently, which we're happy to get. They were $6,000 and 50,000. The generators, like, they barely buy a set of tires for these trucks, you know? So, yeah, got that. And this is where I guess as staff, we need your help to continue to lobby and advocate for municipal funding. And I know you're doing that, but have to keep it up. And unless our CEO has any other crystal balls, but anyway.
Sorry, no crystal balls. However, I did want to comment that we did through the operating budget, we have been putting, even this coming year, have money going into reserves. So overall, I'll speak for myself, but I believe we're very comfortable with where we're at currently. And OSIF funding and some of the other funding that we get annually, it goes up and down, but it's been pretty steady overall, I think, for the last few years. But then again, I can't speak for the provincial government.
So if I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
so, third of Minto, I know we're doing the 1 detour. What about the other side? Because I'm assuming the people, will they be able to get through from Tiviotdale into town? Probably not, right?
The,
Unless you go
Sure.
down by King Street.
I honestly don't think too many people are going to realize that unless they're locals.
Right.
I can't see a lot of detour traffic using that section from 109 down.
Okay.
But yeah, the primary detour route that's proposed, like that's gonna be signed, is gonna be that section from County Road 5 over to Highway 23.
Okay,
So it'll be signed in Palmerston to go out that way,
but what about people who are
Yep.
coming into Palmerston?
coming in
From Tiviotdale?
from Tividale. So they'll be able to come into White's Road, like into County Road 5. They'll be able to get to there and then come, yeah, and then come out.
Okay, they can
Yeah,
get there.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that was an issue last
Yeah.
time when we were doing White's Road.
Yeah, they'll actually have the option, of using Toronto Street and King Street
Okay.
to get around that way.
Okay.
If they miss that, then
Okay,
they'll have the
that's-
option of White's
Okay, I was
Road or
wondering,
County
I
Road
didn't
5.
know.
Yeah.
Where are the roundabouts exactly, Brian?
The one's going to be right at Toronto Street and Main Street.
Sorry, I keep forgetting to do this. Thank you.
The one will be right at TG Menno or Toronto Street and Main Street at that intersection.
Okay,
And the other one's gonna be at Main Street and Minto Road,
okay,
the
so when that
industrial park.
roundabout's being constructed, it's
Yep.
gonna tie up traffic down that end for
So,
a while.
yeah, like there's no detour proposed during that time. There is gonna be traffic maintained throughout the downtown
okay.
core the
Alright.
entire time during the roundabout installations.
Okay,
But it's the main construction right downtown where we need the detour in place.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And I have one more question if I can. What is an emergency van and what makes it cost the amount that it's listed at? What does it do or contain?
So the emergency van is a term that was coined a long time ago when probably Councillor Zimmerman started in the fire department 48 years ago. So it's literally like an old bread box van. It's a 1984 truck that we still have on the road that's still going. In order for us to replace that with a full Freightliner type rescue truck would be about $850,000 right now. So the goal with that is the reason you see the $250,000 line item is we would replace that with a diesel pickup truck, a 5-man cab pickup truck with a bed that pulls out that we can put all our equipment in the back of a pickup truck that would do essentially the same thing instead of buying the $850,000 Freightliner truck. So
So it transports equipment? Is that what it's for?
it transports equipment and people is the main item for it. So
Okay. I
it
just
ha-
wasn't clear. I've never heard that term
yeah,
before. And I'm
it-
thinking, what does that do? We put people in the back of it or?
It's a
live people
traditional-
Or not so live people or?
it's a traditional term that we use is a lot of us call them vans, but they're rescue trucks is what they are.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? Good. I have two. The INI inflow of 62,000 is that basically for search and rescue by our guys, or do we hire someone else to do that now? I know.
So we do it in-house. We have some equipment that we can move around throughout the collection system, and it measures the flow in the mains. And we can try and identify areas that need to be repaired. And once we identify those areas, we then bring in contractors to help us repair them.
That's all three of our municipalities, all three, Clifford, Harrison, Palmerston, or is it mainly Harrison, Palmerston?
Mainly Harrison and Palmerston
Yeah.
currently, but we do have the ability to move the data collection equipment around throughout each municipality.
Great. Thank you. Second question, $100,000 for sidewalks, Mike. How many kilometers or meters does that do?
Well, it depends if we do a tender process. If we tender it out, we can usually do about 200 meters, which 2 blocks kind of thing. But with the last couple of years, we've actually been doing it in-house, and we can do roughly 100 meters, about $225,000. Just doing it in-house. It's not a permanent fix doing it in-house,
Yeah.
but it definitely helps out operations throughout the year if we can do that stuff.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just
Go ahead, Councillor.
going on with sidewalks, are all sidewalks when replaced, are they gonna be out on the road now, like, instead of back?
In Palmerston on the main street, you mean?
Any sidewalk that you're
sidewalk.
putting in?
Anywhere where there's curb, we try to. What we found over the years with some of the housing crisis and stuff like that, there's a lot of vehicles that are trying to utilize minimal space. So if we can provide them with that additional 5 to 10 feet between the sidewalk and the road edge,
Okay.
we'll get them out. And then it does increase visibility and for winter operations, keeping the visibility and the safety factor of pedestrians versus vehicles. Try to decrease that, keeping the banks back and everything.
It's probably a good idea if we could do some kind of marketing about that or something, because it's one of the controversies and
Yeah.
people don't understand. And
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
for
we
sure.
would do that, but like, makes perfect sense to me now, but
Yeah.
when I first saw it, what the hell are you doing?
There is requirements around that. Like if you do put a sidewalk to the back of curb, you do need an additional 30 centimeters of separation between the actual road and the sidewalk itself. So instead of having a 1.5 meter sidewalk, you need a 1.8 to 2 meter. So
Councillor Zimmerman, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. Through you, we'll address water and wastewater. And maybe Greg can chime in on this. You sent an email out a week or so ago about the Ford government wanting to take over water and wastewater. And I'm looking at all the things that we want to accomplish here that we're very, very glad that we're looking after that the way we should. What kind of a position is that going to put us in if Mr. Ford tells us how we're supposed to work water and wastewater?
Through you, Mayor Turton, to Councillor Zimmerman. Very touchy subject. Yesterday, Bill 60 did get to the third reading. And because of that, rail assessment is estimated to be by the end of the week. It was an omnibus bill, so it had a whole bunch of different pieces of legislation, and this was tucked in as Schedule 16 of that greater bill. Basically, the bill has created a full act of legislation, so not just regulations, a full act of legislation. Unsure of where Minto will be on the long term, but certainly I believe that we should move forward with what we have because the assets will still be within Minto. They just may be managed by somebody else in the future.
Stay tuned is what you're saying.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Anderson.
So further to that, I wasn't sure whether, sorry, I wasn't sure whether to bring that up at this meeting. If I read what you'd said correctly, this could be a privately managed corporation, which means they'll be looking to make profits off of managing our water system, which currently is at cost, right? It's to maintain cost. So we have no public input, we have no say, and they're going to put a private corporation in charge of managing water and wastewater at what cost to our taxpayers? To be seen down the road? Somewhat like hydro costs?
Through you, Mayor Turton, to Deputy Mayor Anderson, my only answer is yes. I
We
don't.
have no public input. This is a democracy, correct?
The way the legislation is laid out, it'll be a public entity with shareholders and dividends.
Expecting money.
And the new entity will be able to set their own rates, similar to Hydro One and others. It'll be a public utility that's not managed by the municipality any longer.
There was some illusion that you would get money from it, but you won't. The money won't come to the town. You won't get any money from it. It'll just increase the cost for the ratepayers.
Yes, so there'll be a full transfer of employees, assets, debt, and other liabilities to this new entity.
Transparently, of course, to the communities.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So they take over the ones that, so the municipalities that are really, really in trouble. That's kind of what this is about. There is 444 municipalities in Ontario, and there is some municipalities that are in pretty tough shape. It's a little bit like, is it Bill 33 to do with education? They're taking it over because they think they can do a better job.
Through your Mayor Turton to council. I believe that 2026 is going to be a very tumultuous year because of all the legislative changes that are happening very, very quickly. All I can tell you is that from what I've read, it sounds like the Ford government is addressing these debt concerns that many municipalities have. Whether this is appropriate or not is up for them, the smarter people in the world, to determine. But it does look like some of these changes will happen, and they'll happen rather quickly.
And all Premier Ford can say about it is, why don't you get a job?
How do we get a job?
I have one more question, Belinda, that 200,000 for the Harrison Industrial Park servicing. Is the engineering done on that? Or is this for engineering?
Thank you
just
for
thought
the
that you were sitting
question,
there,
Mayor Turton. I appreciate it. Well, welcome to the party. So, yeah, I was feeling left out. Yeah, the engineering stuff, these guys are probably better to answer servicing questions on the industrial park, but the quote was provided by Triton Engineering. They've done preliminary looks of things. Has the actual engineering of it been done yet? Yes. Yes. Mike's nodding his head, so yes.
So what is this 200 going to do?
This
for
is
us?
going to put in the water and sewer services for the Hairston Home Hardware property that we sold a few years ago.
That's okay. I'm with you. And that's off of 109.
Highway 9, yep,
Yep. Is that Highway 9?
correct.
Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
the MTO had to give us the permission to put an entrance there, so
Yep.
it's Highway 9, yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, saying none, I just want to, I mean, I think there's a lot of emphasis put on this because it's the mayor's budget. I just want to reassure everybody that they say it's the mayor's budget, and there's so much extra work that our staff has had to do over the last number of months. And I asked Gord to make sure that he kept tabs on exactly all the extra costs that it's going to cost us, and we're going to try and send that to Mr. Ford. But No, just kidding on that, but I want to thank our staff for coming to the table and keeping our tax rate increase, you know, at 4% or a little bit lower. I want to thank our council for certainly all the great questions. And if there's nothing else, I'm going to move into the next resolution. Okay. I have a resolution moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Elliott, that the Town of Minto Committee of Whole convene into regular council. All in favor of that motion? Okay, so there is no bylaws and we're into adjournment. So if there's no further questions, I've got a resolution moved by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Councillor Potnovitz, the Town of Minto Council adjourned to meet again to call the mayor. All in favor of the motion? Great, that's carried. Thank you very much.